Hey, 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 welcome to another Valley Forged. Today, step by step, I'm going to show you how to make this Celtic Cross. Actually, not that difficult, but it takes a lot to put it together because it's like, I like to say it's no messing around. I mean, when you finish this, you feel like you've got something. It's very weighty. It just looks, it's got a presence to it, and it really, really nice. And many of you have done my Lord's Prayer Cross. I mean, it's my number one selling thing. Fairly simple once you got your settings, and of course, settings are everything, and that is on you. If you're using a Rolly Lasermatic 3010, yeah, that's what I'm using, so it'll be somewhat close, but every wood is different. All the thicknesses are different. You have to measure, you have to test. So that's the number one question I get from people, and I can't know your wood or your settings. I just can't. So you'll have to figure that out. But once you get that down, very simple. I'm going to help you out the rest of the way. This is absolutely beautiful. And if you look up Celtic Cross on Etsy, you are going to see a ton of ones that look somewhat similar to this, but trust me, they are not. I have put countless hours into making this file. The ones that you're going to see, look at them close, the ones you see, they're all crooked. Like 99 out of 100 ones you're going to see online are crooked because they come from the same file that is a public domain file. And it's beautiful. And it's the one I used for making the fridge magnet. And that fridge magnet is crooked, but you can't really tell because it's so small and it's a fridge magnet. It doesn't have a stand. But if you go and put a cross like this that's crooked on a stand, it's going to look terrible. Plus, the bigger you get it, you're going to notice. So, it's remade basically from scratch to be this way. And, I kind of used all of the things I've learned how to do design to create this file and to make it absolutely gorgeous. I make them typically in walnut and cherry. I like the way that they both look in different ways. The cherry's just absolutely gorgeous, but walnut is walnut, right? It always looks nice, especially for things like this. I do get all of my wood from Craft Closet, and I used a mixture because they have finished cherry and walnut. And I used a mixture of finished and unfinished. And we'll go through that as I show you how to put this together, how each one would work. Do you have to use 1/4 inch? Size of wood is going to be a question. No, you do not. I will show you how to use both 3mm MDF and 3mm, say, cherry, finished or unfinished. Or you can just use a 3mm wood, and then you can use a 1/4 inch or a 6mm, 5mm, whatever, for the backing. Because whatever is going to go into the stand should be 5 or 6mm. But if you're using a layer of 3mm wood and then a 3mm MDF, which is very easy to cut, say you have a 20-watt laser, then you can still make this file very good and still have that really rock solid feel. And when somebody sees this in your house or on your table or something, it's gonna feel like something. This isn't just some light thing that anybody can make, and it seems very professional and very well made and impressive. But for this one, I used 12 by 19 sheets I got from Craft Closet, link below, of course. And you can change this file to be whatever size you want. So you don't want to use a whole bunch of pieces of wood to make this. Well, you can shrink it down and see, and here we'll go to the file itself. You can shrink these down. The trick to shrinking a file down generally is to select everything, and then you can just drag it from the corner only, of course. You make it bigger or smaller. Or you can just make sure this is locked up here, and then whatever you change in one is going to change in the other. Just make sure they're all selected. I'm not going to be doing that in this video. That's going to be up to you. I made it this size because I just feel like this is the cool size. But you can make it any size you want. You can make fridge magnets from it. You can just make, the cross itself. You don't have to make the backing. You don't have to make the base. Or you can make this as a wall hanging thing without the base. I have left a line right here at the bottom. You can see it. And if you put that to cut instead of just a sketch line so that you know that it's flat in the base, that's what I left that there for. But if you turn that into a cut line, well, now it's going to cut that off, and you will have a wall hanging cross, and you don't have to make any of this stuff. And obviously the circle that's behind it, this is completely optional, and there's a whole bunch of these circles that you can get online on Etsy all over the place, and you could just put that design in here if you wanted to. The way that I've made it here, this is to be simple so that you can see that it's the circle. But if you're going to cut these out to use the maximum amount of area, you can literally just turn this any way you want to make it the least amount of space to cut. As long as as long as you don't resize it like that, you can just turn it any which way you want to. If you want to be safer, you can go up to your range and flip it or do whatever so that you can use the least amount of wood to cut these out as possible. And that's just fine. Now, this is designed specifically for Lightburn, but if you have Glowforge, XCS, any other types of software, there is an SVG and a DXF file that is included, so you should be able to do this. But you're going to have to manually say, okay, well, this is a sketch line, or this is a cut line, or this is an engrave. You'll probably have to do that on your own. Now, one of the other biggest questions that I get is how, the one thing that you're going to have to change for the size of your wood is this part right here. And I even get comments, no matter how much I tell people or do whatever, some people say, yeah, I made it, but the slot doesn't fit. Well, they obviously didn't watch the video, but there's no way for me to know how thick your particular piece of wood that you used is to make this. But say you use a 3mm piece of MDF and a 3mm piece of wood to make this back part. Only this back part is actually what goes into the base. So you want this to be your thick part, right? Well, whatever that adds up to be, or if you just say use a 5 or 6mm piece of wood to cut this out, 1/4 inch, you're going to want this to be that wide, right? So what you're going to do is right here, you can switch it between inches and millimeters. That's pretty useful for a lot of people, right? So you go to millimeters, and right now the height of that particular thing is 7.724 millimeters, way too thick. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to uncheck this lock. Make sure it is not checked. And then you are going to select it. And then you can just change this part to 6. And then you hit enter. Now this is 6 millimeters, right? And that's what you're going to want. Now, what I would do is also hit this big center. So select your slot first and then the outside. And then if you center that, it's going to be back in the center. Now, of course, what this line is here is just a line. So there's a line in the base to show you where to glue this onto. So you're just going to score this line here for that reason. And this is also a score line here on the inside so that you will know where to put this cross when you're finished. So that's all those are there for. You are able to turn them off if you want to. If you're using Lightburn, you can just change your output to decide what you want to cut and what you don't. Make sure the air is turned on for the layers that you want to cut out. This here is just a tool tab that says to watch the video. Some people miss that, and that's super helpful. So you can just delete that right away. The first thing that I would do when you download the file, obviously we're going to go step by step right now. Before you're gonna go to Etsy, link in the description, of course. You go and you download this file. The first thing that I would do is make a copy and just call it alternate or whatever you want to call it, just in case you mess something up and you accidentally resize something and you can't get it back or do whatever, because you want to be able to play around with it, do your own thing, make mistakes. That's part of the fun. Resize it to the size that you want to make. So that's the first thing I would do, is make a duplicate file and then get back into here, delete the part that says video. That's just on a tooltip anyways. It's not going to print out, but then you're going to want to get your wood together. Okay, what are you going to use to make this? Now, if you were to make this into a 12 by 19, like I did, really it's 11 by 16.8. I'm just saying I use a 12 by 19 piece of wood. Now, your laser may not accept that size. It may accept bigger. I now have the Rolly Lasermatic XW, the 3010. So now I can make a huge one, which is going to be in one of my next couple of videos. I'm going to resize this and make something as large as I can make. And that's going to be a lot of fun. But I would suggest that you make one smaller first. Make sure your settings are correct before you try and go and make something super large. I have made the decision to use the Rolly Lasermatic as my primary laser for all my stuff for Christmas. Link in the description, of course. I just think they're the best customer service, has the least amount of issues, which, when you're trying to make something for Christmas, and I run a laser business, I have a lot of things that I have to make. I can't have it going down or, deal with any trouble. And yeah, I could use any laser I want to, but I want to work from my house and I want it to do everything I want it to do consistently. So you've downloaded the file, you've made the copy, you've deleted the things you don't need, and you're staring at this thing. What's the first thing you should make, and how many pieces of wood are you going to need? Well, it depends, right? And so let's think about this. If you are going to use a 1/4 inch for this rear one, then that's all you're going to need is one piece for that. If you're going to use 2 pieces, you could use 2 pieces of 3mm, 1 MDF layer, and 1 3mm layer, which is what I did. I've done it every single way. I can show you how I did it with the MDF. I'll put up a picture. And you just use layers, right? So I made 2 layers of the base. I made 2 layers of this here, 1 MDF and 1 wood. 2 layers of this one, 1 wood, 1 MDF, and only 1 layer of this in wood. You don't need to make 2 layers for this front. And then 1 layer of wood in 3mm for this here, the circle part, right? So you could just say, all of these right here, you are using 1 layer of 3mm. Everything else, you're going to have 2 layers. You want it to be around 5 to 6 millimeters thick. And then you're going to take however that thickness is, and you are going to change the slot to match that thickness. Now, I personally would make this part first. And that is because, first of all, you're going to make sure that your settings are correct and everything's cutting out right without wasting a whole huge piece of wood. You might just waste, making the slot. This isn't likely that you're going to have to make it again, but if you make the slot size wrong, all you have to do is remake this part. And then you just take the edge of this and stick it in the slot and make sure it fits. That's it. Once you have your layers done for this, whether you're using a 6 or 5 millimeter or 2 layers, finish it, glue it together, and then stick it in the slot and say, oh, okay, it fits fine. You can just keep going and make the rest of your cross. So that's my suggestion. You can make this any way you want. It's totally up to you. So now I've made the base. The slot works perfect. I'm going to turn off these layers. You turn off all the layers of the things that you don't need to make, and at that particular time, and then you just make them. So next I would cut out this, whether it's 1 or 2 pieces, whatever you've decided. Cut out all of this. Now, of course, you're going to make sure that your engrave settings are perfect. You could make a copy of this and make it really small or smaller, right? And use some scrap wood, screw, whatever, and just kind of see how your engrave is going to look, get an idea. I really enjoyed doing a deep engrave for this particular piece. And what I did is I used, and I think I have a picture of it, I actually had some leather stain, some mahogany leather stain. And because I used finished wood, now you could finish it first and then cut it, it helped in a way. Because then I could do a really deep engrave, but the rest of the wood that I didn't engrave is finished. So then when I put this stain over the top, it just went into the engraved parts and it made a light color change to the actual, the finished part of the wood, barely noticeable, but it really got in deep into the engraved part, which I think it just came out really nice. Very happy with it. The whole thing, I think, came out very impressive. It took a lot of work. This, believe me, this didn't happen overnight. This is a lot more work than it actually looks like to make this file correct. But I hope that I've made this somewhat easy for everybody and that you're going to make some beautiful, beautiful Celtic crosses for your family or to sell or whatever you want. You're totally able to take this file and sell as many physical products as you want. You can sell these on Etsy. I have no issue with that. Just ask that you don't copy my digital file, as like I said, this took a lot of time. This was not made with AI. But it's very rewarding coming together and getting a file all made like this. So I really, really hope you enjoy it. And please give me feedback. If there's anything wrong with the file itself, then please message me on Etsy. If there's any issues with, how you put it together and things like that, please just leave a comment in this video so that other people can see. And we can all learn together and make this, make it nice. Become a family. That's what's amazing about lasers is we all get to work together. So I guess I'll go over this one more time, just to make sure I got everything. First thing I'm doing is creating this base, checking to make sure that the width of the wood fits in the slot. You can go ahead and glue this together. It is done. Next thing I would do is cut out the major part of the cross here. And at that point, this should be able to fit in the slot. And all you have to do is finish this whole part and glue this onto the face of this. And since you have that nice little line, it'll tell you exactly how to do that. And then you can take your pieces of the circle and you will just glue those onto your backing piece of wood, which here I'll show you. So these are just going to glue right in here and will set perfectly, right here. Now, I use wood glue for all of this. I suppose you could use super glue for parts of it, but I think wood glue, Type Bond 2, is my choice for doing this thing, and it holds together super, super well. Not an issue. There have been times where I made the slot maybe a little too tight or a little too loose. A little too tight, I just stuck some sandpaper down in there back and forth until it loosened up. As long as it's not very much, it's going to be fine. And when it was too loose, I glued a little bead against the edge here and waited for it to dry. And then I actually did another one, and it was ready. It was super tight. Next time I put it in the slot, and I glued it real nice, and it is solid. I do recommend putting these in bubble wrap once they're finished so you don't mess them up, unless, you're going to give them away right away or whatever. But absolutely beautiful in my opinion. Very happy with this. It's actually a lot less work than the Lord's Prayer Cross. I mean, a lot more work than the Lord's Prayer Cross was. Just because there's a lot more to it. A lot more layers, a lot more going on. I do have lots of other files that are coming out before Christmas. I'm going to probably be making videos almost every day up until Christmas. I just had my last break. So hopefully I'll find something you like, but you can always leave a comment down below if there's something specific you're looking for or some comments that you have. I'm really trying hard on this, and I would like to, make stuff that you actually want. So you can help me out with that. Again, if I left anything out, please leave a comment down below so that I can either make a future video or whatever needs to be done. And I hope you learned something, and I hope this comes out just perfect for you. All right, I will see you all in the next one. Love y'all.